Guruji, Jai Lord Shiva, Jai Babaji, Jai Sai Baba, Jai Jesus, Jai God, Jai the Divine Light, Jai the One, Jai the Truth. There are many blessings to be shared with Guruji, and there is one, well, there's two. The first one is that I finally got Chai Prashad down. So Shukrana to Guruji, thanks to our Almighty that I finally got it right down. It does have a lot of milk, too much milk, but anyway, I will get it right eventually. The second blessing is when Guruji was, when I wasn't aware of Guruji in my life, he was there. And the message of today's satsang is that he can come in any form, any shape, and he's absolutely there watching over us like a shadow. And it was February of 2018. I had no idea what Shivratri was. Didn't know what it meant. Not involved in anything that would give me access to such information. And I had been bedridden because the third episode hit on 25th of December 2017, and so I was in bed, and this time I opened up to, the third time I just opened up to certain, maybe one or two close friends, and told them that I no longer wanted to live, and that my prayer to God was that I wanted to die. I remember vividly how I used to sit and I would just ask God to let me die. And what I didn't know was he was listening. And I did die. I absolutely died. The ego died. The I died. The old conditioning and programming, the fears, anxiety, the thinking of what others think about me, the people pleasing, the wrong habits, the lack of connection, and the disconnection ended. He absolutely listens to every prayer when it's wholeheartedly. However, he blesses with what is best within that prayer. And as we know, Guruji, is really simple for him to have taken my life. However, he did let me die. And I'm so happy that that person that I really can't relate to now, when I think about the person I was before Guruji, I just cannot relate to that person, even though I appreciate and I love her. Lack of wisdom, lack of love, self-love, disconnection, no faith, no hope, and seeking materialistic external pleasures and just emptiness. And what Guruji does is that, for me, he made me die, and he took away everything from my life so I could be detached from everything, and I would only get attached to him. So if something is not going right in your life, it's God's blessing, of course, for the teaching of detachment, for the injection of faith, where he wants to open better doors for us, and he closes, certain doors that are not good for us, even though we may think that it is good. So last year I opened up to a few friends, and I told them that I really no longer wanted to live, and I really, there was no point. And of course, many of them got concerned because I was dead honest. And I've always been dead honest. Like, I've always been honest, but I kept certain things, to myself, and I became honest about that. And And one of them came over and said, listen, there is a temple. I quit going to hospitals, and it was a phase where I had started going to mosques, temples, Rumi houses, like Rumi temples, Sufi homes, where they cherish Rumi, the great Persian poet, and who was an enlightened being, just like any divine being. And so she told me, you know, since you're trying, I used to go to churches just to go and sit there, but it wasn't as, like, it started during the second episode, all of this, but really on the third one, I was still going. I still had a little bit of hope. I didn't have hope, it was still something in me that seeked help. Because every time I would want to take my life, something would happen and it would fail. And so it was February, and she came over beginning of February, and she told me about this temple that was about 6 hours drive from Toronto. And she told me about this temple, and she said, you know, she had some friends that had gone there, and it was really good for them. And I, you know, my first, of course, the ifs and buts that the mind, you know, hit and said, well, those people were in a good state and they went to this temple and it worked for them. I'm not, so nothing's gonna work. But something, as you have seen in my first video, God had used many people to convey his messages and open doors for me. One was that person that I met on the Emirates flight that ended up a year later, you know, inviting me to his home in Iran, and where a lot of mystical things happened. And the second was this that I know of, you know, this person coming and saying you should go to this temple. And so I went, you know, and to this day, of course, I know it was his Leela, his play. He drags us to where he wants us without a fail. Just gotta relax, because this life is created by him. This is his play. We're all actors. He will use us as he pleases. Everything will go according to his will, just like Guruji has said, just like Mahashiv has said, just like Babaji has said. Nothing by coincidence, everything my doing. Even when we think that he is not there, everything is his writing, his movie. And so I go to this temple, was there for Shivratri. I had no idea what Shivratri was, even though they explained to me that it's about Lord Shiva, and that was probably the first time that I heard about this thing. But because I was so ill, and truly I had to fake a smile for 3 weeks, because if they had known that in what state I was in, they would have not accepted my application. So I applied for a karma yoga. So it was 2 choices for this temple to stay, whether you go as a guest and you pay, and so you basically take advantage of the you get involved in the meditations and like the divine vegetarian food and that they cooked and offered, and any programs that I had there. Or you go as a karma yoga participant, which is you go to do seva, which I had no idea what seva was at the time. God knows my purpose was not to do seva. I just wanted to change my environment. And I found it because I wasn't working. That was my only option. To go. So I sent my application. They would review it, and they would, if they accepted, they would let you go. And so I sent my application, and I was there. I only wanted to stay for a week. It ended up being 3 weeks. Divine plan. Never my planning. Never our planning. Always his planning. Just like my trip in India was booked for 11 days, and Guruji said, I don't think so. You stay here for 30 days. And it happened exactly 30 days. Exact. No day, not a day before, not a day after. 30 days exactly. And he had said 30 days, Guruji. So anyway, so I'm in this temple, and it's after so during Shivratri that they did they stayed up from, I think, for the celebrations happened. I remember that night from 4 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon till 4 in the morning, and they chanted. They had this book that had a lot of mantras and chanting, and so a lot of people would come and stand behind the like sit behind the microphone, and they would chant. And one woman just came up to me and said, "You want to chant?" And I was like, okay. And again, I have no idea how I said yes. I'm you know. However, the mantra that they gave me was Om Namah Shivaya. They wanted to give me the most simplest because, excuse me. They wanted to give me the most simplest because I didn't know any of these mantras. Most of the people that were there for Karma Yoga were a lot of people that had been in the spiritual path, and they knew most of these. They had traveled, a lot of them, to Rishikesh in India, and to a temple that is also in India as well. Same temple that's in Canada exists in India as well, in the city of Rishikesh. And it's I'm sure many people know it was a temple called the Shivananda temple. Shivananda. And so anyway, I remember I stayed there for 3 weeks, and I chanted Om Namah Shivaya. My period, as I had mentioned in the first video, stopped every time these ailments started because of the severity of the ailments that my body was taking. Because of the severity, it caused a lot of anxiety and tremors and shakes and seizures and so many other things. Blessings, really blessings. And so my period would stop during those episodes. And so on the 3rd, when it stopped on 25th of December, I did not get it. So I'm sitting in this temple chanting Om Namah Shivaya for 6-7 minutes, and then this gentleman came over and said, "Can I continue with the chanting?" And he chose another mantra, and he was singing, but the only thing that stayed with me was Om Namah Shivaya. And I remember I would have it, like, you know, right before going to bed some nights. I would just it's like someone was singing Om Namah Shivaya, and I would just, you know, in my head just say Om Namah Shivaya. And I want to say how powerful this mantra is. Just like Guruji has told Bambi Aunty, I believe it's in the book Guruji My Father by Bambi Aunty, how Guruji had said that every time you feel negative energy, negative thoughts, negative actions, like anything negative that's you feel, just say Om Namah Shivaya Shivji Sada Sahaya, Om Namah Shivaya Guruji Sada Sahaya. I only said Om Namah Shivaya. I went home, I slept for half an hour, so the 4 a.m. So I probably slept till 7. By the time we were done, it was like 6, and then I slept till 7. And the moment I woke up, I got my period. Now, not the whole, I only got it for 1 day, but this mantra healed my body, that I got my period for a day, and then I was back to, you know, the anxiety and fears and the whatever was happening the next day, and I totally forgot about the incident. And anyway, just so powerful this mantra is. So please do say it every time you feel a negative energy, you know, someone is doing something, just in your mind, just say Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah, or the whole mantra as Guruji has you know, taught us. And it's so powerful, this mantra, so powerful, as Guruji has said. I know it was actually, now I remember, it is Bambi Auntie's book, Guruji My Father, because I remember it's a satsang in there that how a gentleman came to Guruji's temple when Guruji was in physical form, and all of a sudden, like while in the temple, he started shaking, and his body for 10 minutes he was laying on the floor and shaking. Sorry if I'm saying the whole satsang wrong, but to my knowledge this is it. And they asked him, Guruji, why is he, you know, doing this? And he said that this gentleman had Guruji had said this gentleman is on, like, he knows this powerful, this mantra that he's under, and his body is rejecting it, or he, you know, this mantra isn't serving him right. And that gentleman didn't accept Guruji at the time. And anyway, I believe right before he was leaving, I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong, but I know this is exactly what happened, that, you know, the use of other mantras can be dangerous, you know. So we've only been given this simple mantra, and it's the most powerful, so powerful. We've been given the most amazing mantra to say. And so, Shivratri ended, and a couple of days after Shivratri, I'm as I said, I was there for Karma Yoga. I was cleaning a lamp, and I cannot say how devastating this whole 3 weeks was for me. I had no other choice, because it was either being bedridden at home, or really I worked like a turtle. I moved like a turtle, and I didn't tell them what was going on with me, but I was just telling them that, I'm just here in meditation, and I don't want to work really fast. So I lied, and I put on smiles, and it was really, it took a lot of energy from me, but now I know he was watching, and he knew that I was trying, and that's why, one of the reasons why, who knows, actually only Guruji knows, it's only my mind wanting to decide again. But one day I'm cleaning his temple, and all of a sudden my attention goes to a door at the end of the hall, and I see a black dog. Now, pets were not allowed in this temple. It was really odd for a black dog. He looked like a golden retriever. I don't know what kind of a dog he is, but he looked like a golden retriever, only all black. And I saw him at the end of the hall, and I just had this urge calling to go out. Now I know it was the divine God that telling me to go out. And I went out, and I looked at his collar, and his name was Shadow. And and he would bring a stick, a wooden stick, to my feet, and he would, indicate that he wants to play with me. And this is just him and I outside this huge temple in the middle of a jungle. How he came, where he came from, a mystery. Somebody said, somebody was there, and I was like, do you know whose dog this is? And they're like, who knows? Maybe, he's running, maybe from the far houses, because the houses were so scattered far, literally like a country house and country area. And anyway, so I was playing, and then at some point I had snow, I didn't know where the stick was, and I would throw, I would form a ball of snow, and I would throw it at him, and he would jump he would jump and bite on the snowball, thinking that it's a ball. And he was the cutest thing, and I smiled after a long time. I actually smiled from the heart, is what I mean. I remember exactly. I'm just playing with him really right now. I can vision it, just running after him, throwing the snowballs at him, and really I smiled after such a long time. I felt that, the feeling of smiling from the heart. And I came inside, just, I don't know what to use the loo, or for whatever reason, I just came inside, and I came out, and he was gone. So just like how he had arrived, his exit was also a mystery for me. And I was just really sad when he left, because I really wanted to play with him more, and I just felt like, wow, after a while I smiled, but I was grateful. I was just, it left me with a feeling I can't really describe. Just this serenity, this this love, unconditional love from this dog that didn't know me, and just just wanted to play, and I felt like a kid again, really. And so time flew, and I came back to Toronto. I was bedridden again, and and started going to doctors again. That wasn't good. I stopped going to temples, churches, anything, and just bedridden. And till Guruji accepted me to his fold, on which is the story is told in the first video. And so one day after Guruji had accepted me, I think it was in August 2018, so a month and a half after Guruji's love in my life, I'm sitting in meditation in the morning, and all of a sudden, not having thought about this dog and that day back, not at all, just his vision came into my mind, as if I was there, so vivid, playing with him, just his face when I went to grab his collar, looking at his collar, his name Shadow, and calling out to his name Shadow every time we were playing, and oh, God's ways are so beautiful. And so I just I thought about it. I was like, well, why did it come in my dream? But I put a smile again, and I was so grateful this time. Sorry. I was so grateful this time again that, I experienced that joy with this dog back then. And so I went about doing my things during that day, and it was like 8 or 9 p.m. I came home, and right before bed I always it was the first couple months when Guruji, so I was committed to reading satsangs like 5-6 hours a day, so I would get into bed earlier, and thanks to God, my sleep had gotten better. So I wanted to catch up on sleep. And to be honest with you, I've been with Guruji. May 7th, it's going to be a beautiful 10 months anniversary with me. And it's like Guruji has blessed me with sleeping. Like, he is giving me my sleep. Like, for all those years that I missed on sleeping, he's given to me. And it's so beautiful. Sorry about that. Just one moment. And so then, I came home and I was reading satsangs, and I came home and I was like, you know what, I'll get to bed at 9, and so even if I sleep it doesn't matter, I'm just going to read as many satsangs that I can. And the first one, so what I did at the time, I had obviously finished reading the Divine Light way before Guruji came, like during the time when Guruji came into my life, during his birthday, of course. And so I read other books, and then now I was committed to reading the online satsangs. And so I would very committed to going online on my phone and reading the satsangs on Guruji's page. And so I would usually just close my eyes and just ask Guruji to choose one for me, and I would just put my finger. The first one that it opened was about some female devotee of Guruji, an auntie, who had said that Guruji comes in different forms, like a butterfly, peacock, and for her, Guruji comes as a black dog. I was like, wait a second, I literally had this, and I had forgotten the whole day about this black dog, and it got reminded again, while reading satsang, wait a second, black dog. And so right away my thought was, and I know Guruji was giving me these thoughts, ask, and I was like, Guruji, was that you? Was that you? And so I'm reading this satsang, I feel like Guruji's gonna answer me. His answers will come. You just know that it will come. And it will come in his timing, when we're ready. And I was ready to receive that answer, and I'm reading this satsang, and right at the end, this auntie finishes her satsang with this sentence: Guruji watches over us like a shadow. And I was like, the ways he injects faith in us really have no words. We're incredibly blessed. May Guruji bless all of us, all his children, with wisdom and love, forgiveness, bliss, and everything that he knows is best for each. Whatever he knows is best for each of one of us. May he bless this whole earth with consciousness, awakening, and wisdom, so we all live in a world full of his light and grace. Jai Guruji.